What if Kaufmo was in episode 2? As we know, he was supposed to be part of the main cast, but Gooseworks decided to cut off his character after she created Jax. And with Kaufmo and Jax in the show, there would be too many characters, so they cut out Kaufmo. However, what if Kaufmo didn't abstract and we did see him in episode 2 as well? The first thing is that episode 1 would have probably started way differently, because the intro is the first part where we see Kaufmo, but only his cardboard cutout, saying that Kaufmo didn't turn up for the recording of the theme song, implying that, he kind of abstracted. But we actually can't be for sure about when Kaufmo spawned in, but I'm guessing that he's probably spawned somewhere in the middle of the circus members. He was probably after Kinger, but before Zubul, as we know that Kinger is the oldest out of the current circus members and Zubul is the youngest. Well, not youngest oldest as in age, but as in when they spawned in. And Jax said in the beginning of episode 1 that they've all been stuck in the circus for years, and Kinger has been there the longest, meaning that it could have been decades that Kinger was stuck. So Kaufmo probably spent a good few years inside of the circus, and we know that his personality was sorta similar to Ragatha's, which means that he was super kind to everyone and had this overarching positivity that could sometimes be at his own detriment, until maybe something happened to him which made him lose his sense of self, so he abstracted. And there were theories about how Kaufmo is actually Pomni's replacement. But what if Pomni and Kaufmo actually existed at the same time? Well, I'm guessing that he would have been very welcoming towards Pomni, and he would have tried to assure her that how she's feeling is completely normal and all the other circus members went through the exact same thing as her when they spawned in. And we saw how Pomni was with the others, where she kind of pushed everyone away and only focused on fighting the exit door. But this was after she met Kaufmo in his abstracted form, so maybe if Pomni never encountered an abstracted creature, she could have been more open towards everyone, because we saw how eventful Pomni's first day was. She spawned in the game, got dragged around the circus for the fastest tour ever by Kane, then she saw Zubul get kidnapped, met an abstracted monster who tried to kill both her and Ragatha, and then she had to decide whether or not she wants to save herself or Ragatha, which is a person that she literally just met. And after she decided to save herself, she found an exit door where she went through and found herself in the back rooms, and eventually the void, where it seems that she saw something that blew her mind. But no, Kane ended up bringing her back pretty quickly, only for her to look at Ragatha after she left Ragatha behind for dead. But maybe, just maybe, if Kaufmo was in his original clown form, Pomni could have been friends with him and the episode would have gone a totally other direction. But what could have happened is that if he hadn't abstracted yet, maybe Kaufmo wouldn't have gone to the recording of the theme song anyway, and he'd still be on the edge of abstracting. And so when Ragatha told Pomni that they should go check on Kaufmo, maybe they could have arrived just in time, and Pomni would have been the one to save Kaufmo from abstracting. And this could have been pretty interesting to see, because in episode 2, we saw how Pomni and Gummigoo became super close friends when they shared their doubts and feelings about their lives in the game. And so, if Kaufmo was alive, Pomni could have made friends with him in episode 1 in the same way that she became friends with Gummigoo in episode 2. And we know that Kaufmo was obsessed with the exit door, so they could have talked and talked and talked, and Kaufmo could have told Pomni his escape plan or everything that he knows, so maybe Pomni, being his friend, could have stopped him from abstracting. As we know, Ragatha and Gangle didn't really laugh at Kaufmo's jokes, so he must not have felt super friendly with them, but with Pomni, oh yeah, they could have been the best of friends. And so, if Kaufmo wouldn't have abstracted, then we'd probably see him in the second episode as well, and he would have joined the others on their adventure. And I'm pretty sure that if this was the case, Pomni's dream also wouldn't have happened, because we saw that she was falling down the same cellar when Kane sent Kaufmo down there. So that's what probably influenced her to have her nightmare. And so, without Kaufmo abstracting, Pomni would have probably been a lot less fearful about what could happen. And so, Kaufmo would have probably joined the circus members on their adventure, and maybe this way, Zubul could have also said yes to going on the adventure. Because what happened in episode 1 and 2, it seems to be that she stayed behind to prepare everything for Kaufmo's funeral. And so I'm thinking that maybe Kaufmo and Ragatha would have both looked out for Pomni during the adventure, so that they could make sure that she's okay and doesn't have too hard of a time. However, as we know, the adventure was pretty eventful, so I'm guessing for episode 2, Pomni would have probably had similar bad things happen to her even if Kaufmo was there, but it would have just been that Kaufmo Kaufmo is looking out for her. But what if Kaufmo also fell down with Pomni and Gummy Goo under the map into the back rooms? I'm thinking that if Kaufmo saw the developer room, it would have probably messed with his mind bad, because we saw how Gummy Goo was. He realized that he's an NPC and that all of his life was created by Kane, and it was indeed a lie. It was all memories created to be put in his mind, and he can't even remember his own mom's face. So if Kaufmo was saved by Pomni from abstracting and the exit door was still on his mind, I don't know how he would have reacted. It probably wouldn't have been the same way as Pomni, because once Gummy Goo started going deep about his own life being meaningless, we saw that Pomni tried to talk him out of it by saying that he shouldn't think about these things, which is true, but he should focus on his friends that love him and would miss him if he wasn't there. But if Kaufmo was already in a dark place inside of his mind with the exit door, maybe he would tell Gummy Goo that he feels the same and they would stay down there in their sorrow, rather than what they ended up actually doing in episode 2, where they went out of the back rooms and went back to the others. Or maybe if Kaufmo was there, he could have changed the events of episode 2 completely, so maybe Gummy Goo wouldn't have been in focus, and instead we could have focused on Kaufmo, and Gummy Goo would actually just be a regular NPC who stole the maple syrup just like the other 2 alligators were. And so after the truck chase scene, maybe Kaufmo and Pomni could have been the ones to fall down in the developer room, and maybe Kaufmo would have seen the opportunity to keep looking for the exit door down there, because the dark blue room kinda resembled the office rooms that Pomni stumbled upon in episode 1. It looks to be some kind of maze or labyrinth that you can go through, which is weird because Pomni and Gummy Goo could have explored those rooms. That would have been so cool. So maybe Kaufmo would have gone searching for the exit door here, and if we look at this painting in Kaufmo's room, we can see how he pictured the exit door, and so it's possible that this door could have appeared for him in the developer's room in the same way that Pomni had the exit door appear in front of her. So maybe even if Kaufmo didn't abstract in episode 1, he could have abstracted either way by seeing the exit door in episode 2. And again, Pomni would have lost a friend, but instead of Gummy Goo, it would have been Kaufmo. And if Kaufmo abstracted in the Candy Canyon Kingdom, it would have turned the events of the adventure upside down. Imagine if the circus members had to deal with Gummy Goo and his 2 alligator friends, the chocolate fudge monster, and also Kaufmo rampaging around in the kingdom. We could have seen him attack the princess and the residents of the kingdom, and then we could have seen Princess Lululalu allow the chocolate fudge monster to come into the kingdom, and then those 2 would fight, and we'd have an epic fight scene between the chocolate fudge monster and Kaufmo, sort of how we saw Kaufmo beating up the Going Queen in episode 1. But after the end of the adventure, I'm assuming that the circus members would have still had a funeral for Kaufmo if he had abstracted, where they give their speeches about him, but maybe we would have seen Pomni giving a speech about him as well, because now she would have known him for a short time. And so if these things happened, then the episode wouldn't have ended on a positive note in the way that it did, because Pomni would have been shocked again, just like at the end of episode 1. But this is just a theory, and I honestly hope that we will see more about Kaufmo in a form of a flashback episode, which will be really cool. But let me know down in the comments what you think would have happened if Kaufmo was in episode 2. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video here.